Special City Council meeting to order. Would the City Secretary please call the roll?
Mitchell.
Here.
Rizzo.
Present.
Ellison.
Present.
Flores Kale.
Here.
Bradshaw.
Here.
Parsley.
Here.
Tobias.
I think he's muted. He's right there.
Yeah, Tobias is here. So 7 members present. We have a quorum. Next up, citizen comments period. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close citizen comments period. Next up, executive session.
Pursuant to Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, the City Council reserves the right to convene into executive session from time to time as deemed necessary during this meeting. City Council may convene into executive session pursuant to any lawful exceptions contained in Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, including any or all of the following topics: pending or contemplated litigation, or to seek the advice of city attorney pursuant to Section 55.071, Texas Water Utilities negotiations, sign regulations, possible resolution of a personal matter, possible purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate pursuant to Section 551.072, to deliberate the purchase of real property for public purpose, downtown property acquisition.
Let me do it again.
Yeah, that was kind of weak.
All right. Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:01 p.m. It is Tuesday, July the 5th, and I'm going to call this I'm actually going to call our special meeting back to order. There was no action taken during executive session. There will be no action taken now. Motion to adjourn. All right, we are adjourned. Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:01 p.m. It is Tuesday, July the 5th, and I'm going to call this regularly scheduled City Council meeting to order. Would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the City Secretary please call the roll?
Mitchell.
Here.
Rizzo.
Present.
Ellison.
Present.
Flores Kale.
Here.
Bradshaw.
Here.
Parsley.
Here.
Tobias.
All right, 7 members present. We have a quorum. Next up is approval of the minutes. There's been a request to postpone the June 7th minutes, so if there are no objections, we'll postpone that to the next meeting. All right, seeing none. Next up is citizen comments period. At this time, we ask anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak on any item to please do so. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and that you direct those comments to the mayor and council. We also ask that you fill out a citizen comments form and submit that to either myself or the city secretary. I have 2 registered so far. First up, Kay Rush.
Good evening. My name is Kay Rush, and I'm from Amberwood. Tonight, I'd like to thank the city staff and council for passing the homeowners exemption for all homeowners in the city of Kyle. I would also ask that the item on the Texas Water Utilities be delayed, since the wrong document was published and corrections are needed to be made to the contract about the renewals. We would like to make sure that the citizens in that water district are notified as any renewals of contracts come up in the future. Lastly, I ask the police department to please respond to citizen calls about fireworks. I have called for the last 16 years about the 30-foot rockets fired off every holiday for 1 to 3 hours on Windy Hill and Indian Paintbrush. I've been ignored. My dog was so frightened last night that he walked around the house vomiting the whole night. 5 dogs were found in Amberwood this morning who had run away from their homes. There is a disregard by our police department about enforcing the ordinance against fireworks. What about people with PTSD and children with autism who are affected by this also? It sounds like a war zone. I called the police outside my house in the street, and you would have thought I was in Mogadishu. You know, the ground shakes. You can see the rockets over 20-foot trees. And it doesn't go on for, 2 or 3 rockets. I'm talking an hour to 3 hours. I don't know where these people get the money for it, but they seem to find it. I've written emails, sent videos, and nothing changes. Please cite the offenders and change the rules that rockets cannot be sold in Kyle or Hayes County.
Okay. Next up, Diane Herval.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to repeat, but I think I might, some of the things that Kay said. I'm here to speak in regards to the rate stabilization agreement, item 13. And I'm Diane Herval, 1528 Amberwood Loop. We're a little bit concerned in regards to the correct version was actually published on the agenda for the 72-hour notice. We did bring it to Jerry's attention. Hopefully it did get swapped out. The other thing is we had to scramble in order to review the contract and get our comments back to Jerry because of the holiday weekend. And lastly, in section 4 of the contract, the last sentence had changed from the other versions that have been proposed. And I'm concerned that in the future, I know you guys think that we're going to be coming back, but tomorrow's not promised to us, and I'm not going to come back from the grave in the event something happens and say, hey, did you remember to go and talk to Texas Water Utilities about the renewal? There's, the way I read the agreement now, they're taking, they're stating that it could be with absent written notice. And I'm concerned about that. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And then I'll echo some of the sentiments that Kay made in regards to the fireworks. It was crazy last night over in Amberwood. In addition to the 5 dogs, we had 2 miniature horses that were loose, and the police had to corral this morning. So anything that can be done to help with the police department to enforce the ordinance. Your budget's coming up soon. Hopefully there could be something placed in there, especially on 4th of July weekend, that something is placed to provide additional personnel to make sure that ordinance is enforced. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's all the citizen comments forms I have in front of me. Is there anyone else who wishes to come forward and speak on any item? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close citizen comments. It is now closed. Next up, agenda order. Does anyone on the council have a desire to move any of the items around? Councilmember Florescale.
All right, thank you. So agenda item number 23, I'd just like to make a motion to postpone with direction to our legal counsel to provide counsel during the interim with state, federal, and city statutes and policies regarding elected official expenditures.
All right, the motion was made to postpone agenda item number 23 and to give direction to legal to provide, say it again? I'm sorry, that was a
If
lot.
they could provide counsel, it's weird because counsel to provide counsel,
Right.
with state, federal, city statutes and policies regarding elected official expenditures. Just so when we do come back and look at this item, we are all aware of what pertains to us as far as not just a charter and not just city policies, but are there any policies as far as federal and state that we have to abide by?
Okay, I'll second that. Motion is made by Councilmember Florescale, seconded by the mayor. Is there discussion on that? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 7-0.
I have one more, if I can.
Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion, I would like to move all Park and Rec agenda items to the top, just because I know they were out late last night and they were up early today. So if we could have the Park and Rec moved up.
Which ones are you talking about? Item number?
I
see
think
that
it was
on
the Christmas, I'm sorry.
It's on the consent. I didn't know that they had any.
I think they had something, what was it, item
They have
15.
15.
Yeah,
Consent,
that's
15.
taken off the top because we're going to postpone 13, 14. That's Monarch agreements as well. So I think we're right off the top there.
Okay, so if they're not required to be here, they could probably go home and rest.
Well, that's up to
That's
city
okay.
manager. Yeah.
And item 22, or, that's just you, right? There's not any parks there?
Oh, yeah, item number 22 is just an update.
All right, Mariana's prepared to update on that.
On item 22. All right, we'll move item number 22
Be
up.
a short update, but
It'll be a short update? Okay. All right, we'll move 22 up to the top. I'd like to take the Monarch items ahead of that, if that's still okay, because there's been continued interest in that. All right. All right. Anyone else? All right, next up, agenda item number 3, presentation, Parks and Recreation Professional Day Proclamation. Councilor Ellison.
Thank you, Mayor. It is my great honor and pleasure to be selected by the Parks Department to read the Parks and Recreation Professionals Day Proclamation by the City of Kyle Council. And so it reads, whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the City of Kyle. And whereas the City of Kyle recognizes the importance and benefits of park and recreation services that enrich the lives of its community members and help make this community a desirable place to live, work, play, and visit. And whereas the City of Kyle City Council recognizes that the field of parks and recreation is a diverse and comprehensive system. And whereas the City of Kyle supports the skilled work of park and recreation professionals to strengthen community cohesion and resiliency, connect people with nature and each other, and provide and promote opportunities for healthy living, equity, and environmental sustainability. And whereas the City of Kyle values the essential services that park and recreation professionals and volunteers perform to provide and to ensure our parks, trails, and recreational spaces are clean, safe, and welcoming and ready to use. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month. And whereas the City of Kyle City Council has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the City Council of Kyle, Texas, that July 15th shall hereafter be known as Parks and Recreation Professionals Day in Kyle Hayes County, Texas. Adopted this 5th day of July 2022. And certainly want to open it up to the council and certainly open it up to our parks director as well. But I couldn't agree more with the statements throughout this proclamation. I want to give a major kudos. I see a number of our Parks and Rec professionals here this evening. The job that you all do is immense and admirable for our city, keeping our parks ready and prepared for our citizens to enjoy. Being up, as we just mentioned, late at night for our special events like we had last night. And we've been, I'm sure, I'm speaking for the rest of the council, we've had ringing endorsements about the show last night and everything that that has been going on. The wonderful job you all did down Center Street, decorating, keeping our Mary Kyle Hartson Park up to the standard that we all believe in. And it's really a joy to, I will say this as a personal note, it's a really enjoyable to sometimes shoot the breeze with you all and kind of talk and see the care and admiration you all have in your work and the dedication and doing something for this community. And so on behalf of the residents of Kyle, we want to thank you for that. So I'll open it up to the rest of the council, and certainly if our Parks Director would like to add anything as well.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anybody else have any comments there? Mayor Pro Tem.
No, I just want to thank Councilmember Ellison for reading the proclamation, and I think he said it best. I don't think there's anything left to say, but just great job. Thank you for what you do. I know it gets hot out there. I know you guys work hard in the intense heat, but the residents of Kyle appreciate all your dedication and your hard work, your blood, sweat, and tears you put into our parks. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Councilmember Parsley.
I just want to follow up to what Councilmember Ellison and Rizzo said about you guys. I want you to know how much we appreciate what you did. The park looks phenomenal. Like at the moment I saw it, I just had to send an email to just tell you how grateful we are for the job you did. And also last night was really proof of how hard you guys work. So we got a lot of great feedback about the fireworks, and that is just shows, how hard you guys are working for it. So thank you so much.
Anyone else? All right, y'all want to come forward for a photo? Oh, Councilmember Flores-Cale, sorry.
It was somebody's
Yeah.
head. I just want to say thanks to the Parks and Rec Department. You guys are an integral part of our city, from everywhere from the Veterans Day Parade to any kind of events that the city holds. You are literally what brings everybody together. So even though you guys may not feel it or just please recognize that you're appreciated not only by us, but also by the residents. So thank you.
All right, let's do a photo.
Inside here. Got a good sized group here. I'm gonna have to back up a little bit. All right. Actually, I wish this could be pulled back more. Okay. Sorry. All right. On the count of, sorry, 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank y'all.
All right, next up, presentation of the graduates of the 2022 Kyle Advanced Citizens Police Academy class. Chief Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Jeff Barnett, Chief of Police, for the record. This is one of the best things that we get to do in law enforcement, is to establish positive relationships with members of our community. When we can engage members of our community and then entice them to come and see what our world is all about, that's where I think we make true friendships, and we share ideas and we get to learn from them, and hopefully we share a little bit about our profession that we do at the police department. So tonight we're here to recognize the 2022 Kyle Advanced Citizens Police Academy class. This is the second of such classes. If I can remind you that they've already gone through a 10-week Citizens Police Academy, so they've already dedicated a lot of their time to come and learn about what happens in the city of Kyle and what takes place at our police department. This particular course is an additional 4 weeks of their time and effort for them to come out and learn advanced techniques from the police department. We have a list of people that we are going to recognize tonight, and I would be remiss if I did not thank the group within the police department that helps put this training on for our citizens. Sergeant Bone, Officer Plant, Officer Pruitt, Officer Pates, a good group of our instructors from within the police department, and then also our citizens on patrol, all come together to help put on this additional advanced class, this additional 4 weeks of training. From there, we hope to entice them to continue their relationship with the police department and continue to serve as a volunteer, and to continue or to become a member of our Citizens Police Academy alumni organization, and then also to consider becoming a member of our Citizens on Patrol. So I'm going to introduce Officer James Plant and let him talk a little bit about the program, and then we're going to introduce that group to you, and then I'll have just another small announcement at the end for recognition for some of our members. So Officer Plant.
Mayor, Council, for the record, James Plant. I'll keep it short as I can. So this course is a little different than our 10-week Citizens Police Academy. This is 4 weeks, and we condense and throw a lot of information at them. Some of the topics that we had in this course was a case study. It was from a criminal case that we had in Kyle several years ago, so they got to hear about it from start to finish, from the initial call to the prosecution. They did a night at our dispatch center in San Marcos where dispatch got to show them a little behind the scenes on how the calls actually come in and what they do with them. So it was pretty neat. They got to see that center in San Marcos. Our third week was a crime scene class where they were able to process fingerprints. We put fingerprints on different pieces of equipment and let them actually pull the prints. So that was pretty neat. And they showed them what our crime scene unit has inside the vehicles and how they process different crimes. And then week 4, our last week, was more of a scenario-based class where our students were able to be the police officer and different scenarios. Some of the scenarios were really good. Mayor Pro Tem, you got to see a little of it on a couple different calls. So we did that over the 4 weeks. We had a great class of 13 students who were there every week. They enjoyed it. They asked a lot of questions, and hopefully they got a lot of information from it. So great course. We encourage our people who have graduated from our Citizens Police Academy to attend the advance. And every year that we run it, it's going to get a little bit better. But I thank everybody who went through the class that took out 3 hours of their night the last 4 weeks. Thank you for doing that and being a part of our police family.
Okay. Next, we're going to call out the list of graduates, and we're going to pass out their certificates tonight. And then I'm going to come back and speak for a second, and then we would love to invite you down maybe for one big group picture, if that would be okay. So here we go. Our class graduates, we're going to call your name out. You can be ready and come up here and shake hands and grab a certificate, and then remain up here at the front of the room, please, for a photo.
Alonzo Uregas, Wayne Kamara, Albert Karch, Mary Raymond, Paula Rizzo, Mayor Pro Tem Robert Rizzo, Judy Rayner, Pete Rayner, Tracy Shield. And we have 3 that weren't able to make it tonight.
Also that came up with me, Captain Hernandez and Lieutenant Griffith, also to recognize them. What I wanted to highlight for you was that we have some dignitaries in our class. You already saw that Mayor Pro Tem Rizzo was one of our graduates. We also had Miss Geneva Garza, who was unable to be here tonight, but she serves on the city's Civil Service Commission. And then we have 2 members, you may notice, that are here in the white uniform shirt of the Citizens on Patrol. So we have 2 additional members that we are recognizing tonight for our Citizens on Patrol, and we certainly are proud of you, so thank you for taking that next step. They've already been out on patrol. They were there last night, so we're very proud of them as well. So thank you for our dignitaries that attended the class. Mayor and Council, if we could invite you down for a photograph or any comments, we'd appreciate it.
And would y'all mind just kind of moving more center so it's easier to get everyone photo? We can kind of stack people taller to go in the back too, if that would be great. Yeah, stagger it a little bit, yeah. And if some of our maybe like shorter members might want to come up front and just form a 3rd row, that might.
Squeeze together.
If you can see me through a window, I'll be able to see you. All right, back it up just a little. All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Mayor, you'll also see in the back of the room, you'll see the other matching white shirts. This brings us to a total of 6 citizens on patrol. And you see our other 4 members that have been longstanding members that are in the back of the room joining us tonight. So thank you.
All right, next up, city manager's report.
Mayor and Council, Jerry Hendrix, Acting City Manager. For the record, I'd like to start off reminding you guys about Thursday's budget workshop number 2, scheduled to begin here at Council Chambers at 5:30. Next up is boards and commissions opening. I'd like Rachel Saunier from our Communications Department to come forward.
Hello, y'all. So we have board commission openings, and we're taking applications all the way through August 31st. You can go to citykyle.com/BC, and you can apply through one application for all the open boards and commissions, and it's a really simplified process now. But if you have any, we have Art Commission openings, Parks and Recreation Board openings, Economic Development and Tourism Board openings, Planning and Zoning, as well as our library.
That's all of them, I think.
Next up with a whole slew of updates is our Parks and Recreation Director, Mariana Espinoza.
Mayor and Council, Mariana Espinoza, Parks and Recreation Director. So first of all, I would like to thank Mayor and Council for their support of our fireworks show this year, and to every single city department, city manager's office that helped work. It literally takes everyone in the city to put the fireworks show off. So specifically thanks to the Finance Department, Communications Department, Environmental Services and Trades, Public Works, Fire, PD, and I'm hoping, in City Manager's office, I hope I didn't miss any departments. So if y'all missed the fireworks show, our incredible grant from Communications Department did make a video, a time-lapse video, which we will go ahead and play now. It was a 20-minute show, 3 trailers, and thanks to our sponsors, Kazi Radio Station, the Abundant Church, and our major sponsors, Plum Creek Golf Course and HEB, to help make this show possible. It's not a fault. And we did use 6 2-10-inch shells last night. So that is a recap on the fireworks. Alrighty, and then this Saturday, we have our second market day of the season, downtown Burleson Street and Mary Kyle Hartson Park from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have a lot of local artisan vendors, as well as music and food trucks. Next Friday, we have our skate night, our family skate night at Ash Pavilion. There'll be music, concessions, as well as food. And then this Friday at Greg Clark Park, we have our movie in the park. And just another reminder about September 3rd, the save the date for Pie in the Sky. We are still planning, moving forward with all planning. It is a one-day event, securing all entertainment. We will have 2 stages, vendors, food trucks, and tethered hot air balloon rides. And those are all my updates.
Thank you, Mariana. Next up, the summer reading program updates is Paul Phelan, Library Services Director.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Council. For the record, I'm Paul Phelan, Director of Library Services, and we've had a very successful summer reading program thus far. And this Thursday, our Thursday movie matinee will be A Wrinkle in Time. That's from 1 to 4 p.m. This Saturday's program is Percussion Things, which is a very interactive program for the young people to come in and get involved with that. Also, next Thursday, 1 to 4 will be screening Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And the next Saturday program will be Destination 59 Diagon Alley. So, and I'm not really sure what that is, but that sounds like a really good one. That's from 11 to 1. So our Saturday programs are 11 to 1. And that's all I've got for you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Last but not least, to employees by HR Director Sandra Duran.
Good evening. We are blessed to have a new police officer come on board, so we're excited about that. We did hire 2 additional lifeguards. Yay! Aren't you excited about that? And more to come. And today we had 2 employees that started. Derek Daniels, he's our engineer 1 that works for Leon in the engineering department. And Emily Heinze, telecommunicator with PD. So welcome to Team Kyle. Thank you.
Council, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. All right, next up, CIP road projects and consent agenda presentation. Mr. Barba.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Leon Barba, City Engineer. We'll start off with the Heroes Memorial Park. Based on our current estimates, we're at 98% completion. Porcelain and granite is almost complete. The ring wall is complete, minus the end pieces. Landscaping and planning is progressing. The granite pavers started at the event lawn area. Memorial Garden waterproofing is followed by the pump testing for the water features, and we're expecting to complete this project later this month. La Verde Park, based on the estimates, we're at 60% complete. The playground is being installed. That's about 80% complete. Sidewalks and landscape is ongoing. Hardscaping, I'm sorry. We're preparing for the decking and the roofing at the pavilion, and we're doing some irrigation installation. Certain areas in the volleyball area court are being removed. Apparently there were some deficiencies, so they're being taken out and replaced. They are working on some forms for the curves that are surrounding the playground. They are doing some rough and electrical work at the restrooms in the pavilion, and the expected completion date is in late 2022. Public Safety Center, we're at 40% complete. They're working on masonry installation on phases 1 and 4. Phase 3, they're working on the windows. 3 and 4 phases, they're working on weather barrier installations. On phase 4, they also installed a roof membrane. On the second floor, they're working on the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, rough-in, and they're also installing some floor metal ductwork. South parking and carport piers are poured. The substantial completion date is February of 2023. Southside wastewater improvements, based on our pay estimates, we're still at the 94% complete. Apparently, we were trying to get ready to start on that project. The mowers got out there and wiped out all our survey stakes, so they're having to relocate everything. The contractors had a little trouble with his subcontractor and getting him to start setting up the traffic control for that part of that project. Just got a late email this afternoon that they will be out there next week starting to set up the traffic control so we can start on that section that's there between Edwards Drive to Post Road. Wastewater treatment expansion project is complete, as you know, and it's operating as designed. Based on our pay estimates, the dewatering facility is 44% complete. They are working on the Bullseye plant number 2. They did start cleaning it on June 30th, and it's still ongoing. The dewatering facility, we expect to have that completed in August of 2022. And the low impact development criteria has been completed, and we've submitted an invoice for $90,000+ for reimbursement. Just had to show you a before and after of that plant number 2. Elliott Branch Interceptor, we're at 68% completion. They've submitted a new invoice. We haven't processed it yet. There's still some road closures in the area. We're doing some TV inspection that's been completed. Public Works is reviewing those TV reports. We're doing some power washing and manhole coatings before that new line can be put in place. We're pressure testing of new water lines is complete. Samples for the what we call the BACTs, bacteriological testing, will be done the week of July, this week. All wastewater manholes are coated and inspected on the 24-inch line on both the east and west sides of the railroad. Actually, we're using that particular line right now because we've decommissioned the Bradford Meadows lift station. Substantial completion is scheduled for fall of 2022. Mayor Pro Tem Rizzo, you asked about that drainage issue that's behind the Falcon's property, and they did go out there and work on it, but apparently with that last rain we had, it messed it up again. So, back. So there's some pictures. They were working out there today. They wrapped up the work this afternoon to regrade that area.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure, if you look at the drainage coming from her property, the part of the infrastructure they put in was higher than her drainage. As long as we keep that lower than her drainage, she'll be happy.
I was told that would be happening.
All right, thank you, Leon.
Old Post Road, they're still going to continuing to work on the north end of that project. They're installing some new drainage pipe near the intersection of 150. And they're installing base for the north driveway to DeLauren Concrete. I put these pictures in here so you can see. You keep hearing me talk about surprises, and these are a couple of surprises that we found. Actually, they found another surprise today, but it turned out to be a dead line. What's on the left is a gas line. That's the old concrete pipe that we were going to take out and put in a brand new, bigger pipe. Obviously, we can't put it there. The gas line's in the way. We did measure for that pipe. It's supposed to be 3.5 feet deep, and it wasn't in this area. So sometimes, even though you do some potholes or check for these things, they don't always put the line in like they said they were. So as a result, we're moving the line over, but we're going to make it work. On the picture on the right, that is the driveway to Lauren Concrete. That's an electrical line there. It wasn't identified by one call because it's on the private property of the driveway there for Lauren. So we're very nervous about this line because it was a heavy-duty line. Lauren says they don't know anything about it. PEC doesn't know anything about it. Fiber optic, none of the cable companies know anything about this line. We're going to end up just covering it up and putting base over it and then putting the concrete driveway back in there. So again, we do find these surprises even though we don't like to see them. On the downtown relocation of overhead lines, we're about 74% complete. The PEC crew is working at Nance Street and they're setting the remainder of the poles. We estimate they'll be completed by the middle of this month. And we're still going to coordinate with PEC to switch the services by the end of July. Plum Creek elevated storage tank, there's not a lot you can see from the road. We've got it shrouded, so you can't see much of the activity in there. But they're moving along fairly well. They placed primer on the exterior shell of the tank. We expect to complete this in 2022 during the summer. During October. Button Creek Interceptor lift station decommissioning. Of course, South Lake is offline. We don't have to worry about that anymore, but we're just disconnecting all the services that went to that particular lift station. On the Button Creek lift station, we have one more line to disconnect, and then we'll start removing all the power and gas to those facilities. Here's some upcoming projects I wanted to let you know about. Indian Paintbrush lift station improvements. Right now, they've just installed the erosion control measures. As you can see, they're mobilizing there on that picture on the right. So they're getting ready to start working on that lift station and upgrading that lift station. The micro-servicing is going to be starting on July 13. We should have a message board out today. So that we'll get that schedule out to PIO so they can publish that information. On Carlos Crossing, I wanted to bring this particular project up. This is nothing on the agenda right now, but I'll probably be bringing back an item to you for recommendation for approval to do a forensic study of Kohler's Crossing. I'm a little bit concerned about a section between the railroad tracks and between Kyle Crossing. I've noticed some stressed out pavement there, and what bothers me, there's 6 inches of hot mix there, and I'm seeing fine powders or dust popping to the surface. That tells me it's moving around, and it shouldn't be doing that. That section is probably the worst one compared to, let me back up a little bit. We're going to do this study all the way from I-35 frontage road all the way to 2770. So I wanted to get the whole stretch of road, but in particular, I want them to focus on that stretch between the railroad tracks and between Kyle Crossing. I'm a little bit concerned about what's happening there. I know there's a failure or two there, but from what I'm seeing overall, I think it's either truck traffic or a combination of some wet soils underneath. I'm not sure yet, but I'm really needing to do a better study. I can't just go out there and say, let's dig it out 2 inches and call it good. I don't want to do that. We don't want to just overlay it because that may not solve the problem. So we'll be doing several different methods of testing. We'll take cores out there to see what's really there. We didn't get as-bills for that particular project, but we have a plans that show it's supposed to have 6 inches of asphalt, 7 inches of gravel, and 8 inches of lime stabilization. So we're going to see what's really there and figure out what's causing that problem. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. On item number 8 on the consent agenda, I'm going to ask council to go ahead and pull and postpone that one. I didn't get all the information I needed to explain what this was all about until late this afternoon, so I'm going to ask council to postpone this so I can give you a better idea what's involved with this particular project. Consent agenda items number 11 and 12. Number 11 is for illumination lighting. That's to string holiday lights on the entire roof of the Krug Activity Center and curtain lights on the front and back of the center, to install an illuminated light show on the largest historic oak tree in Mary Kyle Hartston City Square Park. Number 12 is to ABC Home and Commercial. It's for holiday light wrapping on the trees and trunks of trees at Mary Kyle Hartston. And that's my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Leon. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Barba? Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, Leon, real quick, due to the work that's being done at the water tank at Plum Creek, will that affect any of the water pressure around the area? I've gotten a few complaints about water pressure being low in those areas.
I'm assuming Harper's still here, but from what I've seen in that area, they do have low pressure anyway. I think they're ranging in the 35s to 40s. So we know that's an area that's got low water pressure, but from what I've heard, it hasn't affected them at this point.
Okay.
We did take the tanks down about a month ago, and like I said, this is a fast-moving project, so we're hoping to have that ready in a couple of months.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to pull agenda item number 8. Is there anyone who wants to pull any other items? Councilmember Flores-Kell.
I would like to pull agenda item number 7, please,
Okay.
and then make a motion.
Well, hang on. Is there anyone else who wants to pull any other item? All right, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to make a motion to approve agenda item 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Oh, second.
All right, motion made by Councilmember Flores-Kell, seconded by Councilmember Parsley, that we approve agenda items 9 through 12. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries 7-0. So next up is consent agenda item number 7. Consider authorizing execution of a professional services agreement with RSM US LLP in an estimated amount of $45,000 to conduct an examination of all city credit card transactions of and all expense reimbursements to city council, city manager, and other city staff incurred over a 5-year period beginning October 1st, 2017 and ending March 31st, 2022. Councilmember Flores-Kell, thank you for pulling this. I don't know how I got back onto consent.
All right, so my main concern was to make sure that this is going to be, because I watched the video, and I vividly remember this meeting, and it was a couple motions made, and it was a lot of conversation back and forth, and I remember feeling overwhelmed and confused by all the questions. And you know, with that said, ultimately, my goal was a third-party outside audit, like a forensic audit, to make sure that at that time it was to approve the city manager's contract. And it was just more or less to make sure that if we voted yes for that, that we could do so with confidence. And so I watched the video, and it looked like what finally was motioned and passed was an internal. But with that said, I want to make a motion to approve agenda item 71 as a third-party outside forensic audit instead of an internal.
Second.
All right, the motion is to approve it as an outside, but the item, and second, and it has been seconded, but it is an outside audit, so.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure, because on the writing underneath said on April 5th, 2022, council directed staff to do an internal audit. So I just wanted to, for any confusion, and to give staff direction that we all agree on.
Correct, and that's just clarifying that what's being proposed is slightly different than the direction.
Okay.
In which we are in agreement. So the motion is made by Councilmember Flores-Kell, seconded by Councilmember Parsley, that we approve agenda item number 7. Is there discussion on the motion? Councilmember Ellison.
I do remember it. I was here when it happened, and I did go back and watch the video as well to refresh my memory. I know the discussion was lengthy, and we talked about a number of different things, but I know then, as I am now, not interested in spending $45,000 to audit around $90,000 worth of expenses. We were still waiting to get back the internal audit numbers from staff, which I've been eagerly waiting. I'm sure the entire council has been. and I'd like to see what we get back from the internal audit. Second point I'd like to make is, when we had this discussion, one thing was glaring that has still yet to be addressed in all of these discussions about expenses, and that is buttoning up the policy. Our finance director gave us a recommendation on how to hold each other accountable, and I think we should do that. We should approach improving the policy that clearly has loopholes in it, or clearly has errors, or some amount of ability for people to go beyond what is clearly outlined in the policy. I've read that credit card policy umpteen different times. It is clear, and it is restrictive, and it says exactly how we should coordinate with expenses and credit cards. We need to enforce that, and right now it is enforced, as the finance director made it very clear. I believe he picked on Harper last time, of that he would yank that card immediately if it was not in place. Council, the finance director pleaded with us to put ourselves in his position of that ability to, as a finance director or any staff member, to challenge a council member on their expenses. I can understand that puts them in a precarious situation. We need to oversee that. We need to add language to the policy that makes the city council accountable to the members. So if there is a violation, in my opinion, reading through the policy, what it's missing is, if there is either a violation or a council member does not follow the credit card policy, then there needs to be steps, whether that's informing the entire council that this has occurred, someone hasn't turned in receipts, someone hasn't done this, that, or the other. The whole council then becomes aware of that, and then the council can act on that. But there needs to be an arbiter for the council's expenses, and that's what was pleaded with us last time. And I've yet to see a recommendation on improving that part of the policy. That was something that was made very clear in that discussion last time. Secondly, well, I guess third, you know, I've been thinking a lot about this. I was never a fan of council being allocated credit cards. Certainly, I understand the original discussion was about the city manager's expenses, and certainly, I think we can, you know, audit that and certainly hammer down on anything we'd like to see differently with that. Once again, making sure it's codified in the policy and making sure that there's a way for, whether it's the entire body of the council or whomever we decide to hold that accountable, that needs to be included in the policy. That was made, once again, very clear. But going back to my third point, we didn't have these problems before, when we were just using our own money and then getting reimbursed for it. And I can see the nature of that is, when you're using your own money, you're a little bit more judicial about, even if you know you're going to apply for reimbursement, I can see the human nature being to be a lot more conservative with that. And certainly that was the way I was completely fine with. It wasn't until February of 2021 that credit cards were issued to each council member. I understand the logic that came behind that, behind the winter storm. But once again, I think this was a issue that was exacerbated through when that decision was made for council to have credit cards. So I have no interest right now in expending $45,000 when we still haven't gotten the audit back that we already originally directed back in April. I'm not a fan of us not having updated the policy yet and no recommendations being made on that, when it was very clear that that was something that was asked repeatedly by the finance director to have. And then finally, I don't like that we have credit cards in the first place. So those are my comments.
Okay, well, the credit card policy issue is a separate one. This is a request for an audit. So on the topic of the audit, you are correct about the $45,000 to audit $90,000 in expenditures, but I don't know that staff really wants to do it. I think that's kind of the bottom line is that they would prefer to have more of a hands-off approach. So we either have to decide whether we want to spend the money to make the audit or whether or not we want to just direct staff to do the audit regardless of their feelings about it. Councilor Parsley.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question. When you say that you don't want to spend $45,000 on 90,000 expenditures, what do you mean? What are the 90,000 you're talking about? Because I assure you, in 5 years, there's going to be a lot more than $90,000 that we need to audit. And second, to my point, it has to be a third-party audit. I think it makes absolutely no sense to have staff make an audit. They just struggle enough to give us receipts of the expenditures between city managers, assistant city managers, and directors. So the last thing I want to do is put them through that, matching receipts with expenditures. And to the other point that you were making, I mean, we just approved $50,000 to wrap a Christmas tree. I'm pretty sure that we want to spend $45,000 to show the rest of the residents that we are spending the money correctly. Lastly, council members were aware that receipts were not being turned in prior. So the policy does not apply into what Mr. Perez said during the last meeting. He said, council is not accountable to anybody. I'm not gonna be babysitting, expenditures for the rest of council. That's not my job. So I think it makes sense for us to be accountable to him. I have not seen what the policy is gonna look like, but it makes sense the finance director controls and makes sure that what we're spending makes sense, it's codified correctly, and that we're turning the receipts with the description of our expenses. So that's it.
Okay. This is not that we just voted to postpone the discussion related to a policy. This is as it relates to an audit of past expenses. So Councilor Tobias.
We can't hear you, Michael.
That may be us, because it looks like he's keyed up. Let me talk.
Hold on, it might be on our end. Hold on, Mike.
Just have him pause 1 second. We don't have any audio from the online.
Still can't hear you.
He's turning it up on the soundboard, Mayor, but it doesn't appear to be working.
Yeah, I can hear the coming up, but nothing. All right, Councilor Flores-Kale.
Sorry, can he email what he's gonna say to the city? Okay, so I, just to piggyback off of what everybody else is saying is, or what Councilmember Parsley said, currently as it stands, it states in the charter, section 7.01, the city manager, letter E, it is his duty to keep the council advised of the financial condition and needs of the city and make such recommendations as seem desirable. So if we can't have, even in the charter, if we can't abide by those regulations, then I think our only other choice would be to have an outside third-party audit, especially at this point since it's gone so long without necessarily having any oversight. I'm with Councilmember Parsley as well. I was raising my hand because I don't know where the $90,000 came from. I don't know how, did anybody provide that number from finance, or I guess I can ask.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that number's accurate.
Where the $90,000 came from?
You know, but
Because I think it would be,
this isn't an audit for all city employee expenses. This is just council and the city manager, and then
the directors. Yeah, I think.
I don't believe the directors are involved in this audit. I believe it's just expenses related to or connected to the city manager and/or council.
Oh, okay. So as long as the city manager didn't have any expenditures with the leader, with directors, I could understand that. But
Well, that's
anywhere,
where
yeah, like
some
when-
directors and other staff members will be involved in the audit, but it's not an audit of all of their expenses. It's an audit of their expenses related to
Related
the
to
city
them, okay.
manager. It's like, think of it like the tree back to the city manager or to council.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, so they would be involved in some, but not.
some, but not all.
okay.
Right.
And I'm okay with that, but, again, I don't know where the number came from. And as I stated at the last meeting when we discussed this, I think out of all the times that we've spent money, that the residents would be okay, spending $45,000 on this, considering if, we had homeowners of 45,000 people and they spend $1 each, I think they would be okay with that.
Well, we don't have to make, those arguments. We're the ones who decide what the residents are comfortable with or not. Because I think, maybe the residents you speak to would, maybe the residents I speak to wouldn't, but ultimately it's the 7 of us. We have to be accountable for our decisions. So, Councilmember Tobias, you want to try again?
Yes, sir. You can hear me now.
Go ahead.
All right, Mayor. So the concern again is 45,000 from the past 5 years ago. So again, where's the policy statement so we can be able to have it updated? And I don't feel comfortable paying $45,000 for 5 years. Past expense. This is where I bring the question up. Why are we not utilizing our prices? Why are we not using this unpaid days to pay for unique expenditures that you need for travel? Meals, or classes? It seems like once we got this credit card, it just became like 50%.
So hold on, I'm just gonna translate for you because I think we're getting feedback from your computer broadcasting. So you tell me and I'll tell them, I suppose. I don't know a better way to do this, y'all. I'll take ideas. So he said, I think, go ahead, Mike, you think, what did you say?
Utilizing the stipend in the beginning, there have been the forefront of all of it.
Yeah, I'm not able to make, can you pull up your phone to your face and try it one more time? Okay. He gave up, I guess. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to try.
Well, we're going to have a more robust discussion about this at our next meeting. I'm committed to having that discussion with, I think the audit, the policy, everything probably would be better if we discussed it all at once, because the majority of what we're talking about right now is policy, and this is audit, which is backward looking. It's about looking at things we've done in the past. The policy is about trying to set up standards for the future, and we should probably discuss it all at once. So there's no immediate hurry on this. It sounds like we're not sure what we want to do on the audit. My recommendation would be to wait and to bring it all up together, but that's just my thoughts. Councilor Ellison.
Thank you. Points of clarification. Certainly appreciate the healthy debate here. It was mentioned that we just spent $50,000. Actually, it was probably more around $80,000 or $90,000 for Christmas tree lighting. Big caveat, and which gets my vote on that, is it's from the Park Development Fund. So we didn't spend taxpayer funds on that. We spent developer fees on that. So that $80,000 is from that fund, which is a big reason why it gets my vote. Otherwise, it wouldn't. Secondly, the $90,000, everyone's asking me where I got that from. I got it from the information that was provided by Councilmember Parsley when she brought that forward back in April. The numbers that was tallied from that. So looking at everybody's expenses, I gave a roundabout number of $90,000. So that's where that number came from. So it came from this dais. Third, I will respectfully disagree. It is our job to do exactly what I'm proposing, and I point to two separate parts of the charter. First one being Article 4, Section 4.03A. I'm sorry, Section 305, City Council judge of its members. The City Council shall judge of the election and qualifications of its members and may determine the rules of its proceedings, and to punish members for disorderly conduct. So that is within our role to be a judge of our members. And so I think that is highly appropriate. That's what I was looking. Section 4.03, the City Council, letter B. Ensure enforcement of the provisions of this charter and the ordinances of the city and compliance with policies and resolutions. Another example of that it is our job to make sure that the policies are being followed and to hold our fellow members accountable. Council, I'm proposing a full body to be the arbiter of whenever these things happen. You mentioned that council members knew. Maybe there was. I did not know that receipts weren't being turned in. I did not know that the policy wasn't being followed, as it is clearly outlined and very clear on what it says to do. The policy is very well written. However, to the finance director's point last time in April, there is no accountability to be held for the council members. So we need something that the staff can come to whenever somebody does not comply with that policy that is very well written. When any of these members up here, including myself, if we do not abide by that policy, staff needs an arbiter to go to, and that can be this entire body, to hold that member accountable for not turning in receipts, for not abiding by the policy as it is. You know, there was a credit limit increase that happened as well that we found out about. Once again, that should not have happened unilaterally. That should come to the entire body. So if we plug those holes in this policy, those are some improvements. So I understand what you're saying, Mayor, that one of them is looking back and one of them is looking forward. But I'm here for problem solving. And one of the things that we need to solve is the holes in the policy that does not give an opportunity for the council members to be held accountable to what they're doing with their expenses. That's why I propose that we update the policy with language that does that. So I know y'all have asked a number of questions of me. Just a moment, Mayor. I know y'all have asked a number of questions of me. I hope that answers that's where I'm coming from. So both in the charter, it compels us to be a judge of our members and to hold us accountable to the policy. April, the finance director pleaded with us to add something to that, and I think we should do that. And then finally, as the mayor mentioned, I completely agree with that. As far as it being our decision on expending that money, I'm not there yet. I would like to tackle all the different things that we could do internally and get to where what we directed back in April for that to happen before I go across the bridge of paying a third party to do that. Because here's the thing. Best case scenario, everything was followed, and we just spent $45,000 to realize everything was followed. That could be fine with some people. Worst case scenario is there were all kinds of violations, and now what do? Are there members still currently that we can hold accountable to that? What would we even have at our disposal to hold past council members accountable to that? So I'd like to take these steps logically to work through this problem rather than throwing money at something that we're not even sure where we are and what we want to get out of this. That's where I'm coming from, council.
Okay, I just want to say, I have a lot I would also like to say as regards to our policy, the way it should be set, and discussion points. But we have taken action to postpone that item related to the policy. This is an audit, which is a separate direction that was given and is being brought back and proposed. So I think that the best, because I do not feel comfortable having a policy discussion on this item. I don't even think it's appropriate for us to do that. I would like for us to table this item, if it's okay, and bring it back with our next policy discussion, because it's clear all of this is connected, so that we can have that robust discussion. You want to take the vote now, or do you want to
I would like
go for the vote?
to not vote. I would like to wait.
Okay, which it's your motion. Is that agreeable to the second to withdraw your motion?
Yeah, I'd like to.
All right, if there are no objections, I'm going to move on from this item. It will come back, as well as policy discussions and policy proposals.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to withdraw my original motion, and then I'd like to make another motion.
Go ahead.
Okay, and then I would like to make a motion to bring this item back at the same time that we discuss the policy.
Second.
All right, it's motion by Councilmember Flores Kale, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Rizzo, that we bring this agenda item back with the policy that we're going to be discussing, which is our next regular council meeting. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 7-0. All right, next up is agenda items 13 and 14. We're going to bring those items up together. Councilor Flores Kale.
All right, I just want to make sure that Parks and Recs was all taken care of, so they're gone.
Yeah, there's this.
Okay.
Yep. And they'll be right after this. I think we're just
Okay.
going to postpone these items. So agenda items 13 and 14. 13 is consider approval of an extension to the rate stabilization agreement between Texas Water Utilities and the City of Kyle. And then 14 is consider approval of an agreement between Texas Water Utilities and the City of Kyle regarding conditions for the suspension of water services. These are both sponsored by Ms. Sines. I believe it's going to be recommended by staff that we postpone these items till the next meeting. Is there anything you want to say in addition to that? Other than the recommendation to postpone in order to negotiate further? I'd like to make a motion to postpone agenda items 13 and 14.
Second.
All right, motion by the mayor, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Rizzo. And my motion was going to be, and I'm just going to go ahead and add that my motion is to bring it back at the next meeting. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Flores Kale.
Yes, I was wondering if we could also make sure to address the residents' concerns regarding the verbiage in Section 4 of the agreement, absent written notice.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 7-0. All right, next up is agenda item number 22, update from the city regarding the memorialization of the trees located in Mary Kyle Hartson Park and the train depot. Councilor Flores Kale.
Oh, thank you. This all started with a resident, Jane Kirkham, whose dad planted several of the trees in Mary Kyle Hartson Park and then at the train depot. And so the city the Parks and Rec Department is supposed to be working with them to memorialize those trees. And so I just wanted to speak with Mariana or whoever is going to come up and speak on their behalf, just to give us an update, please.
Mariana Espinosa, Parks and Recreation Director.
We are having audio issues tonight.
So immediately,
I thought you were showing off your DJ skills.
that was yesterday. Okay. So immediately following the city council meeting, we were directed to go ahead and work with Ms. Kirkham to memorialize the trees. We met with Ms. Kirkham on April 11th, walked the park, identified all the trees, learned all the history, and then admittedly, it kind of took some time for us to actually get the proofs to the sign shop. Since then, we have gotten the signs proofed, drafted. I sent those over to Ms. Kirkham today. She does have some revisions, so we will be able to get those signs printed and installed here in the next week or so.
Are we going to get a chance to review and vote on those, or are they just going up?
They are just regular square signs with the verbiage that Ms. Kirkham had provided, but we can send them out.
Are we going to get a chance to look at that?
We can send them out
or-
if you'd like.
Yes, I'd love to see them.
Okay.
And then we also spoke with Ms. Kirkham, possibly doing a little ceremony just for the memorialization of the trees.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be good because I don't know how many trees it are, or what it's going to look like.
I believe there's
So-
6 signs, but I'll get them sent out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, next up, agenda item 15, discussion and possible action regarding pool staffing plan. Ms. Espinosa.
Mariana Espinosa, Parks and Recreation Director. So as a result of the last city council meeting, park staff were directed to come up with a plan on how we could open the pool 6 days a week, 6 hours a day. Since then, we've been able to hire and train enough staff We will be able to open the pool 4 days a week for 6 hours a day, starting next Tuesday. However, we did not meet the 6 days a week, 6 hours a day. So I'm going to turn it over to Brooke, who will go into more detail on how we can get those 2 extra days added. Just a brief overview. Those proposals include increasing the hourly rate, using existing resources, so existing personnel, recruitment incentives, hiring year-round full-time staff to join the team. So, Brooke Collins.
Hi, Brooke Collins, Aquatics and Athletics Programmer. I'm here today to present ideas that Parks and Rec and HR have come up with to help with the pool staffing. So like Mariana said, we've come up with a few bullet points: raising the hourly rate for new existing staff, using existing resources, recruitment incentives, hiring full-time and part-time staff members, enticing incentives for employees, and promotional marketing. So the first up is pay increase. We would like to raise the hourly rate for all staff, including lifeguard, head lifeguard, and pool manager. Right now, they're currently at $15 once they're certified. So we would like to boost it up to $20 for a lifeguard, $22 for a head lifeguard, or $24 for a pool manager. We would need at least 5 guards each shift, along with a supervisor for the shift intending on max capacity. At this time, we're looking to fulfill the existing pool reservations that have been scheduled as of 6/20/22, and we have currently closed any further reservations that are not already on the books. We're aiming to close the pool on weekdays starting August 15th, and then only open on weekends until Labor Day weekend, depending on staff availability. Currently, we have 2 pool managers, 1 head lifeguard, and 9 certified lifeguards on staff. And like Sandra said, we hired 2 more lifeguards, so those are in the works, and hoping to hire much more. To successfully open or offer a 6-hour open swim time for 6 days a week, we would need 9 to 12 additional certified lifeguards to cover those 6 days. For the remaining 6 weeks of the pool season, pay for existing staff and 12 additional would be $46,000. This does not include our budget for May and June staff costs. And this also does not include aquatic staff assistance during Kyle Parks and Rec events. And also dates for open weeks starting August 19th through September 3rd. All right, our next option would be using existing resources. We would allow the opportunity for eligible city employees to receive overtime based on a base rate of a lifeguard as $20 an hour, and then they get time and a half, so that would be $30 an hour. If approved, this would be a 6 weeks season. Hourly breakdown would be 5 hours a week. It would be roughly $1,200. If you work 10 hours a week, it'd be $2,400, or 15 hours a week would be $3,600. So everybody would be required to do a certification, which is a max of 24 hours in person and 7 hours hybrid. And also comes with a prerequisite of testing in the water to make sure you're even qualified to become a lifeguard. All right, our next option would be full-time or part-time assistants. We would either hire 2 recreational leaders or 2 recreational specialists. Those just differ in pay, starting pay, and up to maximum pay. So the intent is to have the staff members assist year-round activities with aquatics, athletics, special events, and other programs that we may offer. We will also allow the opportunity for college students to conduct their internship with Kyle Parks and Rec. And then we're looking at recruitment incentives, $250 referral program. If an applicant is hired and completes the season, the staff member would receive $250 on their check. Enticing incentives for employees. We provide a bi-weekly meal for seasonal employees, not only pool, but for camp. And then promotional marketing, increased promo for hiring and allowing for representation of all ranges. And like Mariana said, are based on all of our research, our recommendation, based on existing lifeguards availability, we would like to do a 4-day open swim, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a 12 to 6, so 6 hours each day. And that would leave us with 7-hour shifts with 4 lifeguards and 1 supervisor each.
So Amy Garcia, Recreation Manager. I will give you guys the breakdown of the costs for each allotted, brainstorming idea that we had. So for the City of Kyle employees, so the incentive program to bring in existing resources and utilize our existing staff members would be at a range around $21,600, all combined once we're utilizing the $30 an hour for each staff. The new hires, seasonal and full-time employees would be about $46,080, so about $47,000. And then new recreation employees would be approximately $128,000, and then the incentive program would be about $19,500. Right now, with our current resources of the existing total for our seasonal allotted budget, we have about $65,000 left over, so we would be able to accommodate the hiring of again 12 more staff, and then the incentive program of $19,500. So the new recreation employees was brought on by the idea that was brought by council about the year-round opening of the pool. So to help with that, that was why the new employees were brought up in the brainstorming idea. That is all that I have. Do you guys have any questions?
Wow. Thoughts? Y'all want to do all of that? Or
These are the ideas. So these were all of the ideas that we presented.
I understand. But my question is then, which of those, of all the proposals, which, great job, are you most excited about? Which of the proposals do you think will give you the traction that you're really looking for?
Truly, I believe the incentive programs, it not only gives back to the current employees of $250, but also brings a bit more of a wow factor of why to come work for the city. We do provide to, the kids are wanting to eat. That's really what it comes down to. They're looking for the snacks. Even when we bring small snacks to the pool and Gatorades, they're excited about those things. So that incentive program that we're talking about, and then the new rec employees, I think would be a great asset as well, not only for aquatics, but for recreation in general.
Okay. Does anybody have thoughts on this? Councilor Flores-Kell.
Thank you. I like the idea of additional staff. I think, of course, you guys are already understaffed. The whole city's understaffed. But I think it would be nice to even do a year-round pool. I mean, sometimes you're not going to get anybody there, but I know we have the polar jump in and everybody goes in there. But I also feel like the pool could be open longer instead of till September, maybe till October. I'm in big favor of that as long as it fits the budget.
Well, I think that the demand goes down pretty significantly when school starts back up. So it wouldn't make sense to have a full staff there over the pool and then nobody there, swimming. So there's some kind of balance, but certainly the demand is high from when school lets out to when school gets back in during those summer hours. And the people who use that pool oftentimes it's one of their only options for recreation. So denying them that seems like we're taking away a quality of life from potentially hundreds and hundreds of our residents. So that's where my thought is on that incentive pay or just whatever we can do. But first of all, I don't want it to go overlooked that just between the last meeting and this meeting, you've been able to get up to 4 days at 6 hours a day. So in my mind, that's like, you're like 90% of the way there, because that's enough hours in the day that if a family and kids are wanting to go, even if it may not be everything because of shortage, now all of a sudden they've got options to actually go and have that free swim that maybe they didn't have. At least it didn't seem like they had 2 weeks ago. So that's my initial thought on that. I'm Councilor Tobias.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
Go for it.
Okay. Thank you all for bringing in these proposals. I know that it takes a lot of legwork, a lot of numbers to look at and calculating and so forth. I honestly think hopefully by next year, we might see a huge turnaround and people wanted to come and apply. But you do bring up a good point, Mayor. I think last time that there are a lot of subdivisions that do have their own individual pools. You have to consider also the fact that the incentive of bringing people to apply could really help. I just don't think that having a year-round one does seem nice. But then again, let's look at the winter months of December, January, and February, where we have somebody may not be at the pool, or it may be needing to shut down for maintenance. But then again, if you do go that route, you can also assign that person to another section of the city. But those are just my opinions on this. Thank you for bringing those numbers, and hopefully we figure something out going forward for the long haul and for possibly next year.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, Mariana, questions to you. So if we were to bring forward the 2 new employees at 128 is what it is? Is that 2 new employees? Oh, it's 4. So what, if we were to say we were open 9 months out of the year at the pool, 8, let's say 8, what could we allocate those employees for the other 4 months? What is the need that we need in the city and the Parks Department that these 4 employees could help benefit the entire city?
So Brooke oversees athletics and aquatics, and the need is athletic programming. Other than the hockey league that the Crane family Kyle hockey program runs, we don't have, in our adult kickball league, very, very limited programming opportunities, recreational programming, so we can bring in some flag football. We have a high request for softball leagues, sand volleyball leagues, just athletic programs in general.
Because I know that I've had residents reach out to me about the city not having those opportunities, just the kickball, and that's what they say, just kickball. And a lot of people love the kickball, don't get me wrong, it's great, but they're looking at more to do. They'll point out other cities to me that they've got these leagues and we don't. So I'm kind of excited about the new hires and the incentives. I think that's what would probably something I could really support. I think that's a great idea.
And then as Amy's reminded me, we talk all the time about, we just need rec leaders. To run arts in the parks, a little, just more programs, because right now it's the full-time programmers having to run them, which is fine. But if we had rec aides or rec leaders on the off-season, that would be really helpful.
Thank you.
So if we did the incentive right now, if we authorize that incentive, is that something you'd be able to implement and you think might help you get those additional hires for this summer?
Yes, based on our current budget, I believe that we're able to do it with our existing budget now. So just because we're lacking some of those employees, we're saving on the budget, and so to move forward.
Clarify to me the incentive so that I can try to put it in the form of a motion.
So the incentive is the referral program for city staff, the $250 for hiring and then completing the season. And then we have biweekly meals for staff, we have 12 weeks on here for the whole season. And then weekly staff snacks for both camp and pool.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the Parks and Rec Department to create an incentive program as outlined by Amy just now for this season, utilizing funds from their current budget. It's a motion by the mayor, seconded by Councilmember Flores-Cale. Is there discussion on that motion? There was a whisper. You want to add something to it?
No, just to confirm that we were okay with the 4 days, 6 hours a day.
We are.
Tuesday, Thursday,
I
Friday,
am.
Saturday.
I think
Okay.
that given where we are in the season, that's probably acceptable. But for myself, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm going to support this because I want to see us open the rest of the year. But really, I want, as we go into budget season, I want the council to be aware that, when we're promoting the city and we're trying to bring in more items for residents to do around the city, we should really consider the recommendations here. And the reason I'm willing to wait till budgets, because then we have a clear road. But one of the things that residents ask me all the time when I'm out in the public is, what can we do in the city? Having more programming for them would be key for our residents, and I think would really inspire more residents to come out and see who we are and what we're about.
I agree completely. So, anyone else?
includes maybe getting some city leagues, basketball and baseball.
Right.
I did want to make note that our pool is not heated. So when it is cold, the pool is very cold. Nor is the spa. So I just wanted to make that clear.
So we, this is Texas.
very
It
cold.
doesn't get that cold. I'm gonna tell you right now. It feels cold, but it's not that cold. I promise you. So yeah, definitely. In Texas, we don't know what cold is yet, unless we go back to snowpocalypse.
Right.
That was a one-time. That was a one-time
Yeah, it
event.
gets pretty cold sometimes, but yeah, I get your point. Yeah, for sure. All right, anyone else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 7-0. Thank y'all very much. Well done. All right, next up, agenda item 16, update from the city regarding the community garden. Councilmember Flores-Kill.
Yeah, if I could have Mariana please come back up here. I just wanted an update on the community garden, and I was curious if you were still working with the resident?
So we have the resident, Stacy Anderson, who's our outdoor nature specialist, has been in contact with the resident, but has made too much movement. So 2 months ago, we've taken the soil to go get the soil tested, and Stacy's received those results. And then at the last park board meeting, we spoke with the Park and Recreation Board on funding, because the fence alone was like 20 to 40,000, depending on how much, and we did not ask for that as a budget request. So Park Board, specifically one of our Park Board member, Harris, is going to take a lead on identifying some possible grants, and then we're going to come to council for some permission to apply for some grants and see if we can get some funding for a community garden.
Have we reached out to any of the entities around, like say, Home Depot or Lowe's or somebody like that, just to see if they'd be willing to donate something towards the project? Just a community project, so they might be willing to donate some material or something.
Not yet.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Thank you, Mariana. All right, next up, agenda item number 17, consider impossible action to approve the addition of the Vibe Trail, option 2 at Public Safety Center in an amount not to exceed $340,000. Mr. Harding, we discussed this last time. I think there was some discussion you had with Bartlett Cock about the numbers and then where this money might come from.
That's correct, Mayor. So, Mayor and Council, thanks for having me back. So since our last meeting, one of the points of discussion was that we would kind of look at timelines and determine when, what the most urgent timeline would be around building this park. The answer came back resounding immediately. It is most prudent, financially speaking, to engage this work now. That being said, now more than ever, Bartlett Cock has actually come to the table very generously with a donated $150,000 toward this 340. So you're actually looking at 190, not to exceed on this item, if Mayor and Council decided to move forward with this.
Okay. And the finance director was given direction to find an alternative funding source. If you have a thought on that?
I know that during last council, the alternate funding source that was identified was just the general fund. Other than under the bond program, that's all we have.
So if we take it out of the general fund, and we don't expend all 37 million, and there's excess left over, can the balance be paid?
Oh, absolutely.
Can it go back into that budget?
That money will go back to the city to be put back into the general fund anyway, yes.
Okay. I'll say it seems prudent to me to at least take a vote on this now, especially considering that it's reduced to 190,000. I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 17 with the provision laid out by Mr. Harding that the amount not exceed $190,000 and that the funds be taken from the general fund.
Yes.
And if there is additional funding available at the end of this cycle, that these funds be reimbursed from leftover bond proceeds.
Correct.
All right, it's a motion by the mayor, seconded by Councilmember Bradshaw. Is there discussion on that motion? Councilmember Bradshaw.
Yes, I just want to, if you could just extend our gratitude to Bartlett Cock, that is incredible for them to come to the table with the 150,000.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with that contractor. They have been tremendous. This is not the first time they've donated. I don't expect it to be the last, and they are just a joy to work with. So I will certainly extend that gratitude.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I want to say the same thing, is just extend our heartfelt thanks. That's awesome, 150K. I mean, that's amazing. And yes, Bartlett Cock is a great company to work with. Every time I visit the work site on the new Public Safety Center, they're full of knowledge. They're willing to share what they're doing, where they're at in the process. And I'm really looking forward to this Public Safety Center. I think it's going to open without a hiccup, because I think they're a great company. So thank you.
They're tremendous. This team in particular, yeah.
Councilmember Flores-Kell.
Thank you. As I tell them, we also thank you. Honestly, it's really awesome, and I've walked that area, and those people are nothing less than amazing. So thank you, thank them, and thank you. So my question is going to be for Jerry or for Perez. This 190, will that be a budget amendment?
Mayor and Council, for the record, I'm Pervez Mohit, City's Director of Finance. I was waiting for David to say he can bring up the other 190. So we're going to borrow from a slow-moving CIP project from general fund until October 1st, because I don't think he's going to need the money between now and September 30th. So we'll have enough cash, even if he does, to carry him through. And then the new fiscal year budget will have the funding dedicated for this project.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I do just want to say $190,000 is a lot, but during our last meeting, we discussed proving to all the new developers that we too are behind this vibe and this trail. And so I'm okay with spending the 190 out of the general fund. I don't know what kind of feedback we're going to get from the residents, but again, if we could spend 190 on this, maybe we should also be very aware that we could spend 45 to protect our transparency. So thank you.
And 80,000 on trees, or anything else that four of us agree to spend money on.
I'll have other things later.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, David.
Council.
All right, next up, agenda item 18, consider possible action on a public improvement district deposit agreement by and between the City of Kyle, Texas and Hillside Terrace Development, LLC, Porter Country. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring up agenda item 19. Actually, I thought I needed to switch these, and then I didn't. But that's Porter Country, and 19 is Porter Country as well. It has a public hearing, so I'm going to take 19 first if there are no objections. So agenda item 19 is a public hearing on the creation of the Porter Country Public Improvement District. Is there any objection to me opening the public hearing? Seeing none, the public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak on this item? All right, seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Now I'll take up agenda item 18 as I have read. Go ahead, Amber.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Amber Lewis, Assistant City Manager for the record. The agreement before you is to provide money to pay for the consultants that the city will use to create the PID. And I have a history. So on May 17th, y'all approved the development agreement, annexation, and zoning, and then on June 7th, you approved the petition for the creation and then set the public hearing for tonight. So this is the next step in that process.
Okay, thank you. Now, after the third look at it, I finally understand the confusion. It's because it says Hillside Terrace Development and then in parentheses, Porter Country. So, but these items are connected to 20 and 21 as well. Is there any objection to me go ahead and opening those up so we can just ask questions on all of it? All right, if there are no objections, I'm going to bring item number 20 up. Consider impossible action to approve a resolution of the City Council authorizing and creating the Porter Country Public Improvement District in accordance with Chapter 372 of the Texas Local Government Code. And then agenda item 21, consider impossible action to approve an agreement regarding the dissolution of a public improvement district, Porter Country Development. Go ahead, Amber, if you want to add to those.
Sure. So then the next step is the resolution to create the PID, and then there's we always have a dissolution item just in case that the bonds aren't issued and things aren't met, that we both agree to dissolve the PID. And then we have John Snyder with P3 if you have any questions of him.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this item? Councilmember Flores-Kell.
Thank you. For agenda item 21, I just want to confirm that the PID or bond levy must be occurred by 7/5/2025. Just want to make sure because it's like 3 years. So ultimately, the city can wait 3 years to for these bonds to issue them.
Yeah, so Mayor and Council, John Snyder for the record with P3 Works, City's PIN Administrator. So the dissolution agreement is just there so that if the developer, for whatever reason, the project's not moving forward, you just don't have a PID sitting out there for an indefinite amount of time. So 3 years is about as low as the developer's ever willing to go. They'd wish it was 10 years. 3 is about as good as
Yeah, I
you're
thought
gonna
3 was bad.
It's not
but
bad.
Yeah.
We learned that lesson
Yeah.
a few years back.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda items 18, 19, 20, and 21.
It's 18, 20, and 21.
Okay, 18, 20, and 21.
All right, the motion's made by Councilmember Flores Kale, seconded by Councilmember Bradshaw, that we approve agenda items 18, 20, and 21. Is there discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Is that it?
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's nothing regarding to final passage on those items. Jennifer, do you want to? None of them are first reading. We're good? All right. All right, so that concludes the regular portion of our agenda. We do still have executive session to go back into. Mayor Pro Tem, can you add downtown property acquisition back into it as well?
We did 19? Yeah, we did. Oh, yeah. Cool, my bad. I skipped it. All right. Pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the City Council reserves the right to convene into executive session from time to time as deemed necessary during this meeting. City Council may convene into executive session pursuant to any lawful exception contained in Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, including any and all of the following topics: pending or contemplated litigation, or to seek the advice of the city attorney pursuant to Sections 551.071, possible resolution of personal matter, possible purchase, exchange fee, lease, or value of real estate pursuant to Section 55.072, deliberate the purchase of real property for public purposes, downtown property acquisition.
I call this meeting back to order. There was no action taken during executive session. There will be no action taken now. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.